So welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all suitably refreshed. I sent a picture of our coffee and tea break snacks here, so I hope you all had some chance to get some refreshment yourself. In this session, we've got 5 talks. The 6th speaker had to withdraw, so that means that each of the talks remaining can have an extra 3 minutes if you wish. Up to you. Either you can take a bit longer for your slides, or we'll leave more time for questions. We can start lunch early, so we'll see how we go for time. So Sophie, I think you're already sharing your slides there. So you're up first, and with the title Annotation Model and Corpus for Opinion Detection in Economy and Finance Narrative. Over to you, Sophie.
Thank you. Good morning. I am a second-year PhD student at Paris Saclay University, and I'm presenting the joint work with my supervisors, Patrick Bahubek at LISN and Dick Schumacher at Natixis. Our presentation about our annotation model and corpus is organized as follows. I will first talk about what kind of narratives we want to annotate, and these documents are a mixture of facts and opinions, which meaning subjective sentences. Secondly, I will present how we define opinions, followed by the details about our annotation scheme. And with the annotated corpus, we have conducted experiments on synthetic structure analysis in order to understand how financial professionals express opinions. About our data set, unlike existing corpus on sentence level or document level opinion analysis, we want to annotate a corpus with diverse reputable sources. Our dataset contains text on macroeconomics, which are from European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve, and text on corporate business activities, which are earnings calls, management decision and analysis from the Form 10K, which are presented in the talks of Professor LISN and Dr. Toitier yesterday. And the third component of our data set are media text, which includes news sentences from the Financial Face Bank data set and tweets of financial professionals. The reason that we want to propose a fine-grained opinion analysis is because in our we think that sentence level polarity does not allow us to know whether either a positive or a negative opinion is expressed about what. In the following example, the first sentence addresses a situation in a particular industry, and this element is not a market driver for all the financial sectors. And in the second sentence of the Financial Times, it is not an opinion about the financial market or economic activities. And when it comes to the third sentence, the sector X in region Y is expected to be a robust form. In this sentence, it will be valuable to able to identify the opinion or financial professional has a positive opinion as regard to the sectors X, and then communicate this information to potential investors who are interested in investing in the sector X. So to achieve this, we need to proceed with a task in NLP which called pairwise extraction of target term and the classification of opinion polarity. It's called target-based opinion analysis. As Professor Stephen Young mentioned yesterday, there are very few studies on target opinion analysis in economy narratives. And to the best of our knowledge, there's no available annotated corpus on similar data sources for training supervised learning models. Therefore, we propose a new annotation scheme to create a corpus for fine-grained level opinion analysis. As we said, from the whole document that we have in our world data set, there were facts and subjective sentences. Therefore, we analyzed the content of financial narratives, and we identified 3 elements of interest. The first one is changes, meaning language that are used to describe in which direction an event or concept evolves. And the second one is the language that is used to express a judgment about these changes by clarifying authors' preference, which their preference can be grounded in a mixture of rationality or emotions. And the third one is author's assessment about the authenticity of these changes. And these 3 elements of interest converge toward theory on the language of evaluation called appraisal theory. Its central tenet is that emotion are extracted from our evaluation, interpretation, or explanation of events. And appraisal theory deals with the evaluative language that controls experience of the world, which is the development of economy and business activities in our case. Thus, this framework we think is appropriate for analyzing the 3 elements of interest that we mentioned before. And there are 3 main types of appraisal in Martin and Weiss original theory. We choose not to consider the element about engagement, and we have added a new type, the valuation group, because it's more adapted to the first element of interest. And the variation group is about elements used to describe a stable state or gain or loss in volume or quantity. And the attitude group is about language that are used to recognize gain or loss in value, the length of visibility, and so on. It can be also be other things such as anxious awareness of the undesirable outcome, or even emotional assessment, such as the intense feeling of excitement or a strong desire to put ideas into practice. And in the economic landscape, it can be a strong desire to make trades. And the graduation group is complementary to a variation group and attitude group. And this step represented here allow us to identify sentence of interest for our corpus creation. Our sentence of interest should contain at least 1 potential opinion indicator, which are opinion terms, and 1 potential target, which are domain-specific terms, such as GDP growth, rate, liability, and so on forth. And this is identifying sentence of interest is a necessary step, because they are, as you can see in this table, they are minority classes. And in machine learning, imbalanced data sets suffer from inaccuracy and decreased predictive performance in many classification algorithms. And with this said, after clarified our motivation and the theoretical grounding of our work, I will now introduce our annotation scheme. There are 2 phases. On the left is our first phase about the pre-annotation. where we have applied the definition of sentence of interest to keep subjective sentences. And on top of this, we use state-of-art NLP technologies in name entity recognition and negative pattern recognition to automatically identify such informations. And it comes in our second phase about manual annotation, in which during this phase, annotators are given sentence with pre-annotated text by the machine, and they are expected to annotate all the pairs of targets and the corresponding polarity in a sentence. And the second task is that they are also expected to label conditional sentences, explicit speculative opinions, argumentation, and cause-effect relations. Furthermore, if there are any errors in the pre-annotation phase, they are expected to correct them. Here is an example of annotated sentences. Pre-annotated text, DOE, and appraisal are in green, and their identification makes it a sentence of interest. And on top of this text, the annotator labeled the opinion expression dysfunctional as an opinion expression, and it indicates a negative opinion towards the real bond markets. And the first step is that he or she will draw a road between them. And at the time of speaking, we have annotated around 1,500 sentences. And based on these annotated sentences, we want to verify the hypothesis that economic narratives written for or written by financial professionals tend to use more diverse vocabulary and more complex syntactic structure in economic narratives. And in order to verify this assumption, we compared its universal part of speech tags and the syntactic dependency trees of our annotated corpus, and compare it with other existing corpus on customer reviews on Netter restaurant. It is proposed by Sam Evala, and is a widely used corpus for target-based opinion analysis. The second corpus for comparison is MPQA, corpus for question answering, designed that is extracted from newspapers about a wide range of stories. And the second motivation that we have for studying the syntactic structure is that we think the syntactic structure of opinion expressions and also of the sentence itself can be valuable clues for determining the position of the target of opinions. And for example, when an opinion expression is adjective, its target is likely to be the noun that follows this adjective, because in English, adjective precedes the noun they modified. We observe similar phenomena in our corpus, in which target usually precedes the opinion expression in the form of remain plus objective or verb plus adposition. And our second observation is that, as you can see on the left, these are the universal post tags of customer reviews, and 95% of them of these opinion expressions are unigrams. And on the right side, you can see the red color are results of our annotated corpus. And you can see that the portion of unigrams as opinion expression is less significant. And the most used way to express opinions in economic narratives is verbal expressions instead of adjectives, comparing to online reviews. In particular, we see that verbs or multi-word opinion expression that include verbs have a central role in economic narratives. And this observation is in line with the fact that professionals are more likely to express their views around changes and events. And our second observation it makes this observation leads to the phenomena that multi-word opinion expressions is more difficult to compute their overall semantic orientation. As you can see in this, in the first sentence, there were two opinion expressions. The first, both of them conveys negative polarities. And in the opinion expression, there were two increase and decrease, which indicate opposite semantic directions. And this is because of the financial concept, cost and economies of scale that makes that this opinion expression both conveys a negative polarity despite of the semantics of increase and decrease. To conclude, we have proposed an annotation scheme to create a corpus adapted for fine-grained target-based opinion analysis, which is a relatively unexploited field in economic narratives. And our experimentation on synthetic structure analysis showed that domain experts tend to use more diverse vocabulary and more complex syntax structures. And in the future, we want to develop neural network models adapted to this corpus by considering different types of knowledge and especially including domain concepts. So thank you for your attention, and thank you for organizers of FNP for giving us the opportunity to present our work.
Okay, thanks, Sophie. I don't know whether you can see the chat there, but Dominique asked a question which you've already answered, but I'll give you a chance to react to it anyway.